What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies.
It stinks.
Guys, welcome back to another installment of Gotta Love Them Movies. This is a movie review. So if you clicked on this button, if you clicked on this link, if you clicked on this video, chances are you want to hear what my thoughts are regarding The Wizard of Oz. That's right. The Wizard of Oz is a film that came out in 1939 starring Judy Garland. If you haven't heard of The Wizard of Oz, I don't know what to tell you. It's a pretty popular film. I feel like most people on the planet have seen this film, which begs the question, Mike, why are you reviewing this movie? Well, this is one of those movies that has been asked by special request. Mike, why don't you review this movie and let us know what your thoughts are? Like, it's a great movie, but how do you feel in regards to The Wizard of Oz? Well, first of all, I'll get into that in a second. But The Wizard of Oz, if you're not entirely familiar, is based on a book by L. Frank Baum by pretty much the same name, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, as opposed to just The Wizard of Oz. It tells the tale of Dorothy, who's just, your typical standard down-home girl from Kansas. Girl next door from Kansas. She has a little dog named Toto, and, she has high dreams, high aspirations, and then the twister comes. Whoa! And she gets swept away to a fantastical place known as Oz. She encounters the Wicked Witch of the West. Ooh. And she wants her ruby red slippers. It's this whole... So again, if you're not familiar, in the book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, it's an allegory that tells the story of the Industrial Revolution in the United States of America in a very fantastical way. So in the book, there's no ruby red slippers. They're actually silver slippers. And the silver represents like the silver reserve of the United States way back when. I've forgotten the vast majority of the allegory and how it translated to the story of the Industrial Revolution, but there's a lot of, it's a very complex and very brilliantly manifested story of how the Industrial Revolution itself can be told in a fantastical tale. And I think that is to L. Frank Baum's credit. Like, it's an incredible feat in and of itself. It's a second incredible feat to create something so iconic. And this is one of those rare instances where you can use the word iconic and it becomes like the standard. I feel like there are very few films out there that you can use the word iconic for. This is one of them. The Wizard of Oz is, yes, it's a fantastical tale of how Dorothy comes to Oz, and in order to get back home, she has to go through this weird, fantastic adventure where, she has to learn the principles of courage, empathy, and heart, and caring for other people, and also use your wisdom, your street smarts. Think through your problems. Use your brain, which, as depicted here by the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion. So, when all of their powers combine, they face off against the Wicked Witch of the West, and they end up saving the day. And this story is, it's kind of masterful. It's masterful, A, in what it represents, B, in the way that it's told, and C, for its longevity. And in terms of longevity, let me just go, this is a short list, but it's a great list. This is how impactful The Wizard of Oz has been. We got a musical from the opposite side of the coin. Once, we always viewed the Wicked Witch of the West as, a bad guy, as like a villainous character. We got an entire Broadway music. Not just did we get a Broadway musical, one of the most successful Broadway musicals of all time. We got a sequel to Wizard of Oz in Return to Oz, which is a really weird movie, and it's creepy and it's strange. I personally love it. I know a lot of other people have very mixed feelings about Wizard of Oz. Return to Oz. I love Return to Oz. We got a prequel starring James Franco in Oz, the Great and Powerful. There are multiple animated versions of this film. We got a reimagined remake in like a kind of a Motown style movie starring Michael Jackson and was it Tina Turner? I should have looked this up. I should know. Tina Turner or Queen of Soul. Can't think of her name. Anyway, we got a reimagined remake. We have a Muppets version of The Wizard of Oz. We have multiple television shows, spin-off television shows. And this is just, it's a short list. It's a short list of like all of these other properties that it has spawned. And that is due to its incredible impact that this film has culturally way back in 1939, stretching all the way to today. So let's go ahead and jump through some of the different categories. Let's talk about acting. The acting of the film, obviously acting today is different from what it was in 1939, but their acting was pretty spectacular. It was on point. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. It was they got you to feel everything that you needed to feel, and their acting was very representative of who their characters were and what they needed, like the ideas that they needed to get across to the audience. I'm not going to give it a perfect score for one reason and one reason only. I feel like I kind of need to find a flaw with this film, which is negligible. Second reason is 1939. It was also up against Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind, like I feel like the acting in Gone with the Wind obviously was different from the acting in The Wizard of Oz. Having said that, they're both masterful. They're both incredible. The Wizard of Oz, the acting, they just knocked it out of the park. It was beautiful. I'm going to give it a 19 out of 20. You may hate me for that, whatever. I think it's fine. So let's talk about directing. The directing in the movie, again, was masterful. Let's go back in time to 1939. How many films back then were in color? Not many. It was expensive and it was painstaking. It took so much time and money and effort to make a film in color, and doing kind of it's arguable. The Wizard of Oz is kind of a children's movie. I mean, granted, like all movies back then were for all ages, but to make a family film like this and target it towards that kind of an audience and have it be so obviously like meaningful and impactful and all the rest of it, was a huge feat. A huge feat. It was a great creative choice to start off in black and white, and then when she gets to Oz, go to color. And the meaning for that, it's, you get the writings on the wall. It's like, oh, well, she's in a different world. She's in a fantastical universe, whatever. But it has deeper implications than that. Like going back to the allegorical story, it means even more for some of the things that happened in the Industrial Revolution. This was the change. This was the thing that changed everything. And of course, like Technicolor or color in film revolutionized the industry. Talkies were the biggest revolution in its industry, and then color was the second biggest revolution in the industry. And we can discuss what other revolutions there were. 3D, I think, is one of them. But whatever, I think it was perfect directing. I'm giving it a 20 out of 20. The writing of the film, the adaptation from the book. And this was not the first version of The Wizard of Oz. I think this is this version, the 1939 version of Wizard of Oz. I think this was the third film, or like the second remake, but like the third film that had ever been done of The Wizard of Oz. The script was masterful. Dialogue was great. The pacing was awesome. The meaning that came out in the story, They kept the symbolism, they kept the poppies, they kept the yellow brick road, they kept the ruby red slippers, like in the Wicked Witch of the West, and her sister, the Wicked Witch of the East, I guess. Like all of those symbolic emblems have played into the story to give it so much meaning. And if you're just looking at this as a piece of entertainment, it works. It works on all levels. But if you want to look for deeper meanings, they're there. And there's so much to glean from this movie. There's so much to glean from the idea of friendship, to glean from the idea of using your brain. Think through, how are you going to think through a problem? How are you going to empathize with other people? Courage. What does that mean? What does courage look like? And like, what happens when you combine all of those elements? If you're just looking at it from a turn your brain off at the door kind of pure piece of entertainment, it's a little strange, especially for 1939. It's a little strange. Like the flying monkeys, they're kind of creepy. But again, for me, I loved it. I love the creepiness of the monkeys. I thought it was fun. The evilness of the Wicked Witch of the West made sense. The way that it was portrayed, the way that it was meant to be portrayed, the colors, the lighting, the cinematography, the sets, the pacing of the film, like everything works. And it all stemmed from the writing. The writing, I'm sorry, it was perfect. It was perfect. 20 out of 20. Takeaway. I've just been driving this home. The takeaway is 20 out of 20. It's perfect. Again, the messages of friendship, of being courageous, of using your brain, of, following your dreams, your aspirations. How do you empathizing with other people? There's so much to glean. And also, let's go into the effectiveness. The film was so effective, it was a cultural revolution. Even though Gone with the Wind that year took the Oscar for Best Picture, I would argue that Wizard of Oz had a greater impact in the world. Wizard of Oz had a greater impact in the world than Gone with the Wind did. And Gone with the Wind got Best Picture by a slim margin, but it got Best Picture. While David O. Selznick's film Gone with the Wind, it changed filmmaking in terms of scope, in terms of drama, in terms of acting. It changed the way audiences viewed cinema at that time, because no massive war epic had ever been created on that scale before. That film was huge. So was Wizard of Oz. But it's more of a fantastical story. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy story. But the impact that it had globally, everybody knows who Dorothy is. Everybody has heard the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It's everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. And to go back through and say, we have multiple Tony Award nominations and wins for the Broadway show Wicked. Multiple television adaptations, multiple movie adaptations, and remakes and reboots and reimaginings and animated series and hats and t-shirts. And just last week I went to a restaurant. It was one of those outdoor restaurants where you sit on the sidewalk and keep your mask on and whatever. And the waiter, we started talking. He saw my t-shirt. I was wearing a nerd t-shirt or something, and we started talking about film and television, likes and dislikes and whatever. He himself, you can tell I'm a toy collector. He himself is a Wizard of Oz collector. That film came out 90 years ago. Okay, 89 years ago. That film came out 89 years ago, and he is a collector of all things Wizard of Oz. This is how deep of an impact in a cultural movement that this film had. 20 out of 20. It's near perfect. So let's just go through and add up the entire score together, and together the combined score is... right, you guys saw the writing on the wall. It's a 99 out of 100. This movie, I dare say it's a perfect film. I knocked that 1 point off for acting because it wasn't quite on the same par as Gone with the Wind, came out the same year. Again, it's a negligible difference. Is this a perfect film? I say yes. Then why'd you give it a 99? Well, because I did. I don't know. It's a perfect film. The cultural impact is crazy huge. People love this movie. People quote this movie still. 89 years later, people still quote this movie. Am I doing my math right? 89, 2020, 39? Yeah, 89 years later. 91? 70, 80? I don't know. Whatever. You guys do the math. My brain is all over the place. Anyway, guys, what do you think of Wizard of Oz, the original 1939 film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what this dinosaur would want you to do. Roar, roar, roar!